Hello everybody. It has been a while. So I'm going to paint a couple of miniatures today, and because I have two devices it might take me a little bit to get to your comments, so apologies for that. But it's been quite some time since I've painted miniatures. I have everything that I need. I have my watercolors, my Winsor messy palette, and I'm just going to tape up my block so that I've got that nice edge. A lot of people ask about what tape should I use, things like that. Experiment with what you have and find ways to make it work. I have a list of everything that I use on my website, including the tape, the paper, the colours, everything like that. It's I've had a lot of inspiration lately. I have just walked the overland track. So if you Google Tasmania overland track, it's a 6-day hike through the wilderness, and it was, should I say, life-changing? That was pretty good. Pretty amazing. So bear with me as I get myself set up. I have paper towel. That's for me to wipe all the excess colour off that I feel that I don't need. I have my watercolors, which is what you can see them in the background, hopefully. Yep. I have plain water, just water in a jar, any old jar. And I have just the lid of that jar. It's just got the clean water. So I'm going to make sure that I don't mix it up, I guess. So I want to work wet onto wet, and what that means is I'm going to wet the paper first and then I'm going to drop in colour. So while I'm wetting the paper, I've got to choose my colour palette, and I'm inclined to go with the darker greens this time, but I always do green. I might just play it safe actually, and I'm going to do indigo, which is my go-to colour for whenever I'm feeling like I need to play it safe. So I'm just going to put down a very light wash of indigo, and what that's going to do is that's going to put a bit of dampness in that paper that I can work with a bit later on. Now, because we're going for something very misty and, what's the word, moody, I guess. I mean, it's a brilliant sunny day here, so we don't need any more moodiness than we've got. But the reason I am doing it is because, like I said, this is like a safe colour for me. I can do it. I know I can. And I haven't painted on the blocks for quite some time. I've painted separately. Where did I put them? Just a second. I will run over to the other side of my studio. So what I've been doing as I've been traveling is I have been just experimenting with different colors and patterns. So most of you know that abstract is my heart language, but landscapes is what I guess I'm known for on socials. So I've been playing around with colors. This one I particularly like, the green and the indigo together. I think it worked really, really well. So what I've been doing, I haven't been painting on the blocks because I haven't needed to. I had quite a bit of stock, and I've got a miniature release coming up in a couple of weeks in October. So if you want to get in on that, just sign up to the website and you'll get an early notification. But I've been playing with colors and patterns with my abstracts, and I want to see if that translates into the landscapes, because yeah, like I said, I did that overland hike, and just nature is absolutely incredible. Like what it is, you're out there in the middle of nowhere and it is just stunning. You feel so tiny. So if you follow on my Instagram, you would have seen that I put just a written post, because I haven't put any photos of the trek up yet. But I was very cryptic, I guess, about climbing literal mountains last week, and I'm not a mountaineer, whatever, I don't even know if that's a word. But I went mountain climbing for a week over the overland track, and I loved it. It was amazing. So I'm just trying to achieve, I guess, a very subtle wash or color gradient, like starting from the mountains in the back. When something is further away, it's always much lighter. So remember that as you're painting your landscapes, that the further away, the lighter it is. So in between each brush stroke, I'm kind of taking all the excess moisture off my brush, if possible. We have, hello, สวัสดีค่ะ โอ้คนไทยหรือเปล่า I'll just clean the top of this. It looks like it's a little bit, sorry about that, I should have done that at the beginning. So I'm picking up some more of the indigo colour. คนไทยครับ โอ้ดีใจนะคะ ดีใจที่มาชมทำศิลปะ So I just put a little bit more colour on my brush, and I'm just dropping it in now because that paper is already wet. อันนี้เป็นธุรกันดารนะคะ So sorry, I am speaking in Thai at the same time. I know Thai. Someone is commenting in Thai, so I'm answering him in Thai. So he's asked, what am I painting? So I'm painting some of the mountain ranges that I saw when I was hiking. So อาทิตย์ที่แล้วฉันไปเดินในป่านะคะ แล้วก็เห็นภูเขาสวยมากที่ Tasmania, the overland track. ก็เลยได้ inspiration จาก overland track. So I got the inspiration from the overland track, and that's what I'm just explaining, just in Thai. So that inspiration is definitely spilling over. I actually left some of my pictures of what I drew on the track downstairs, so I can't grab them now, but the next live I will definitely put them up. Okay. So it's just a, I guess, hint of what you can see. Mountain range in the background. But now I'm just building up the layers. And what this does is it helps me to build a picture. So the further the things are to your eye, the closer they are to the front of, or closer they are to where you're standing or perceived to be standing, they will be darker. So I want to keep that mountain range in the back quite light, but I want to give the appearance of a lake in front, which is kind of signature of my landscapes because I love being in places where I live. It's a lot of places has a lake, and especially up in the mountains, we call them tarns, T-A-R-N, and there's a lot of water, and then you've got these majestic mountains in the background, so that's why my landscapes tend to reflect that. Oh, Cochran car. Sorry, at the same time I'm reading the comments. So some of you may already know I have a letter writing club. And that letter writing club just outlines some of the things that I do. And I have an artist residency in Thailand. And that's where the language comes from. I'm getting quite distracted. So I've just put another mountain range in there, just at the beginning. Let's see if you can see that. And I'm working quite slowly. And I guess the reason for that, I haven't done this in a few weeks. I've just been focusing on the abstracts. And I can tell, like, the confidence is not there with the brushstrokes. It's really interesting. A lot of people ask, how do I get better? How do I get better at painting? And honestly, do it every single day. That is the only way to get better. Oh, we've got a hello. Thank you for watching. So the only way to improve is just to practice, do it every single day. So I've picked up, I'm only using indigo at the moment. So as I've picked up more indigo, the brush is full of water and you can see that it is spreading out and it's making these really interesting shapes and patterns, which is what I want. I want those interesting shapes. I want them to be organic feeling. And that's what's happening, which I'm happy about. So there we go. We're going to put some more kind of darkness down the bottom. Now with watercolor, it always dries a lot lighter than it should, or than you want it to. And when it dries lighter, you have to really play with the colors to make sure that the contrast is still there. And you want the contrast to stay, like, have the dark darks and the light lights at the same time. Okay, so I'm just putting in extra, they're not waves because it's a lake, but we want to imitate, I guess, the ripples of the water so that there's some reflection. Sorry, that's gone out of focus. Put that back in. So in the palette as well, I have also gold and silver metallic watercolors. They're homemade, not by me, but another company. That's on my website as well if you need to have a look at that. And those are what I use to add highlights to each picture. So what I will do is I'm going to make sure that there's water in those colours, because metallic colours, they have different properties than normal watercolour, and so they need to make sure that they're activated first before you can use them. If you don't activate them first, then they're really hard to control and to handle. So because it is the indigo, I think I want to try and have a very cool feeling about it. So I might go with the silver. So because I activated this paint has become quite creamy, quite loose, which is nice. I'm just trying to pick up some of that colour. The silver, it renders quite differently. Sometimes it renders as like a white, snowy shadow, I guess. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of that silver just on the ridges, and I'm going to bleed it out just to give, at some angles, it'll give the appearance of snow on the ridge, which is what we had with our hike on the overland. Incredible snowy peaks. Now it's very hard to see. The camera does, oh, there you go, slightly picks it up. So the thing I like about this metallic watercolor is that it's so subtle that you can only tell it's there from certain angles. And I like that. I like that it's not in your face. Okay, so I've only worked with one colour so far, so I'm picking up some more indigo, and I'm going to make some kind of foreground sections here that are extremely dark, and what that does is it pushes these other two layers in the background further back, so it gives that illusion of depth. Now because it's quite a simple painting, but because we've left the darks and the lights as they are, it really effectively brings out the scene with a lot of depth. Which is really nice. So I'm going to go in with the silver again. And I'm going to just make it, because it's still wet, I know that it will bleed a bit more. I'm just going to pop that along the top of the ridge. And like we said, this is going to be so subtle. Like I'm looking at it from this angle, which the sun is not hitting it, and you're probably the same. It doesn't look like anything's actually happening with it. But as soon as it's on an angle, and some of them, you can see it, it really does sparkle beautifully. So I'm going to reflect some of that sparkle quality in the water. So I'm again picking up some of the silver, which it's hard to see, but picking up some of that. And I'm going to wipe some off so I can get like a sharp edge, or a sharp point, sorry. And I'm going to just pull some of that just over the water that I've left. And again, you can't see it when looking straight at it, but on an angle, let's see if I can pick it up. No, the angle does not pick it up. It's definitely some lighting conditions that is really hard to see, but others it just like hit you in the face. It's really nice. All right. So for my first one, I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that as that, and I'm just going to peel the tape off. Now, if I did it right the first time, oh, you know what I've done? I've just made a rookie mistake. Oh, Keturah, you do this all the time. The logo's on the wrong way. That's okay. We will survive that. It's not a big deal. And I love that. I love how that gets revealed. at the end. Just finishes it off very nicely. So it's quite a really simple landscape, but I'm happy with that because I haven't done one in quite a while. It makes me think of the hike, which is really nice. Yeah, that's cute. I like it. I like it. I like it. Then you can see some of the sparkle happening there. That's cool. So the nice thing about these blocks is they sit on their own, just like that. So I have a few displayed around my house. But I am investigating putting like a drilling in the back so that they can be displayed on the wall, which I see some people definitely already have displayed. But we'll go on to number 2 now because I have 3 of these to paint. Actually, now I'll take this one up. I have other blocks that I'm going to do today as well as part of my work gets sold in some of the areas around Tasmania because it's just a really big hiking and outdoors walking state. So some of my work, because it's so reflective of the area that we live in, it gets sold in some of the stores around the state. And I have an order for these particular ones here, which are just plain wooden blocks. When I say plain, it's of course it's natural, it's wood. It's a wood that's specific to Tasmania here, and that's what we use. Well, I think it's actually protected now because it's such a brilliant piece of wood. But that's what it's called Huon, Huon. But some of especially the older Huon, which most of them are pretty old, that's why I think they're fairly protected now. They are what's used here, or what's used for like crafts and like decorative items. So I'll pop that over there. That's taped up, ready to go. But I will start a Huon. Sorry about that. A Huon block. Now I love these because they have like the burnt edges and stuff like that, and every block seems to be quite different. So I really like having that burnt edge on them, or the raw edges. I think it's really pretty. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to choose a different color. Now I've noticed that it is the more natural colors that work well with this. So I've already got quite a few of the green blocks because I know that they work really well. But I want to try and do some with like yellows and oranges. It's kind of hard because it's such a yellow wood. I've already prepared these with a watercolor ground. Well, I hope I have. I'm pretty sure I have. Otherwise I wouldn't have taped it up. I'm pretty sure it's got the watercolor ground in it already. So I'm going to go with maybe I'll go with a green again, I think. Let's see how this, yep, I think I have prepared it already. It's good when something happens that you've already thought about. So this is a watercolor ground by Daniel Smith. I chose the transparent because sometimes I want to see the grain of the wood through the painting. This particular piece of wood, the grain, I mean, it's there, you can probably see it. It is quite a tight grain, but others have this incredible grain that I want to preserve, so I don't want to hide it with anything else. And I'm thinking of doing something with quite dramatic mountains on this one. So I'd like to have a look at that. This looks good. Nice. So what is happening with this now is I am just using it. It reacts slightly different to watercolor paper. So this one we painted with watercolor paper, and when I'm painting directly onto wood with the watercolor ground, it isn't quite as reactive as the paper. Sometimes it, obviously, because it's not paper or cotton paper, it doesn't absorb in the same capacity as paper. So I tend to be quite light with my water usage. I'm still able to get like the bleeds that I want, which I'm happy about because I think that's a big part of my work, or my landscape work anyway. I'm able to get the bleeds that I want, but I still have to be careful with the amount of water that I use. If I use an incorrect amount of water, it just doesn't absorb, and it doesn't work very well. So yeah, I'm always careful with when I'm changing between paper and the watercolor ground to kind of change up my practice a little bit if I possibly can. So I'm just doing that now. There we go. And that looks quite good. So this one you can see that I'm working much quicker. For me to achieve the same goal with these paintings is I've got to work quicker with the watercolor ground. I find that if I don't, the depth of color just isn't the same for me. I really want that depth of color, so I have to be quite quick in how I work with these, which is good. So I want to achieve this feeling of like bushes, so I'm just dotting and dropping in paint, and it's dispersing straight away, which is fine. I'm okay with that, but it's just something to remember if I want to get this kind of feel. I had a similar feel with a different painting, and what I used is gold because I love fireflies as well, and I want fireflies to feature in my work if I can. I'm just going to darken up that little bit there. And we've already activated that gold paint from our earlier painting. So now I'm just going to drop in a little bit more water, and I'm going to pick it up with a small brush. And that gold paint, it's nice and creamy now because I've already activated. But I'm going to try and drop that in, and it will disperse straight away. You can see that. But that gives a really nice effect as well. And that's what I'm hoping to achieve with this particular painting. So what I'm doing is I'm just dropping in the gold there, which will change and be highlighted. You can see it's a lot more pronounced than the silver. The gold is always much more pronounced. But I love using the gold, especially on the wood blocks, because I think it really sets it off beautifully. And what I'm doing here is I'm just trying, instead, before in this painting, I put the watermarks in the indigo. In this particular one, I'm going to put them in gold because I think that will be really effective. So I'm just picking up the gold, making sure I've got a nice fine point on my brush, and then trying to give the illusion of, I guess, moonlit water, and doing that using the gold. So I'll pop a little moon up there, then we have quite a bit of reflective qualities on the paint. I'll pop that up and show you what it looks like at the end. But just to finish it off, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm doing the same thing with both of these blocks right here. I'm just going to create a feature at the bottom of the painting that's quite dark. And what that will do is give the illusion of pushing that scene backwards a little bit. And I might even put some like grassy sections. And what that will do is it'll create the illusion of being right close to you. Right there, and I'll pop them. So my brush, it's got a little bit, it's a small brush, I think it's a 0 or a 00. It's got hardly any water and quite a lot of paint. So you can see that I'm just using the point of the brush. I'm just trying to create these illusions of the blades, and you just vary the angle, vary the length, and it'll give that natural reedy look that's from from the bank that you're standing on, looking at the view. And depending on what you're going for, I always try and make these as dark as possible. So I've got to keep going back, and I haven't put my brush back in the paint yet. There's enough moisture in that brush to give that feathered look and give that bulk of the, what do you call it, the grass that you're standing in. So some bits are going to be very defined and other bits are going to be very sharp. Sorry, that's the same word, defined and sharp. Very sketchy looking, and that's fine. You want that contrast. So let's rinse the brush off there. And I'm done with that. So that one was much, much quicker, which I'm happy about. I like it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will peel that off. Yeah, so you can see that that definitely came together so much quicker than the other one. So with the wood is slightly different in that it doesn't love the tape as much as the paper. So there's always a chance that it will bleed. It has on this one. But I think it also shows that we're painting on a natural surface, so I'm completely fine with that. Yeah, there we go. But that bottom edge looks perfect. Nice. Okay, and that's how it's turned out. And you can see the reflection too. I love that reflection. It looks really nice. So now looking at it from real time, if I'm looking here, to me, this part looks lower than this one. And it's just a trick of the eye because of that section up there. So I will fix that a little bit later. And I will, once it's dry, I will try and make that a straight edge so that it gives the illusion. Otherwise, the picture looks crooked. And that's what you need to kind of consider when you're working with natural materials as well. Sometimes it doesn't always go to plan. But there's always, almost always a way to fix something. So those are the minis that I painted today. So it was only going to be a quick one. I was only going to do a quick session. So thank you for joining me. I've got a silver sparkly and I've got a gold. So I'll leave it there and then I will try and do another live tomorrow. I think I am back into the swing of things and normal routine. So we will try and do that. So thank you for joining me and we'll see you next time.